Good day, sir. Good day, classmates. Our topic for today is boundaries of the self online. Good boundaries are important for healthy relationship, but when it comes to our online lives, we rarely think to create clear-cut borders. The important reason, according to psychologist and coach Dana Giotta, is for your safety and protection. Personally, you don't want to give out private information to the world, and professionally, you don't want to compromise your credibility and reputation, she said. So whatever you're using, Facebook, Twitter, link, or any social media website, or just writing email, it's important to proceed truthfully with your time online. As technology continues to rapidly advance, individuals and society are profound change. So two are the tools used to measure this universe, and therefore our boundaries of reality improves boundaries of self, and reality online examines the idea that technological advance associated with the internet are moving us in multiple domains towards various edges. These edges range from self to society to relationship and even to the very nature of reality. Boundaries are dissolving, and we are redefining the elements of identity. Personal boundaries are the set guidelines, rules, or limits that a person creates identify reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for people to behave towards them.
What is personal boundaries? Personal boundaries are simply the lines we draw from ourselves in terms of our level of comfort around others. So, personal boundaries are about providing limits or rules we set from ourselves on what is okay or not okay, or let us say safe or unsafe, when it comes to the relationship we have with other people. These boundaries may have to do with physical contact, verbal interaction, and our own personal space. So, physical contact. The example of this is not feeling comfortable hugging a person you have just met. And in verbal interaction, the example of this is not wanting a friend or family members to speak down on you. And in our own personal space. The example of this is choosing to not have others in your home when you aren't there. Different types of personal boundaries. Rigid boundaries. A person always keeps others at a distance. You have rigid rules about what you do, and when you do them, you won't make exemption or be flexible. Porous boundaries. Someone who tend to get involved with others. They often and are highly dependent on other people and struggle with feelings of anxiety, burnout, and the need to please others. They are likely to struggle to say no to others people's requests or demands. Healthy boundaries. Comfortable opening themselves up to intimacy and close relationship. can say no when they want to. Healthy boundaries can serve to establish one's identity. Specifically, healthy boundaries can help people define their individuality and can help people indicate what they will and will not hold themselves responsible for. They are making sure that they are mentally and emotionally stable.
Good day, sir. Good day, classmate. My topic is all about emotional boundaries. There are my report. Emotional boundaries. Emotional boundaries involve separating your feelings from another feelings. Violations include taking responsibility for other feelings, taking another feelings dictate your own, sacrifice your own needs to please another, blaming other for your problem and accepting responsibility for others. Emotional boundaries are the way that we protect ourselves from other people's emotions so that we don't take them on. Examples of emotional boundaries are dismissing, rejecting, assuming thoughts, values, beliefs, and opinions. Emotional boundaries is operate in the same way. They are the rules of engagement. They are disguised or unspoken. Our sense of emotional boundaries can be established by a combination of our culture, community, and our own upbringing and religion or belief system. We have to do with now others to talk and treat us. They aren't always things we think to act until after a boundary has already been crossed. This is okay. Let's say got into an argument with someone and they called you unkind name. As our responsibility to take care of necessarily to we're able to be connected to people, but we're also protect our emotional state and also how we protect others in outside world from how we express our emotion. That means that we are contains is the way that we express our emotion that doesn't that we express our emotion that doesn't offend others or harm others. That's all I can say about emotional boundaries. Thank you.
Time boundaries. According to Molnos A. 1998, time is the one of the four categories of boundary. It has all covered a temporal factor, an arrangement that regards and define the therapy. This include the length of a therapy, the waiting period before the first contact or assessment interview, the time between assessment and the start of the therapy, description of each session, length, length and frequency of holiday, period of advantage notice requested for canceling a session and announcement holiday. All of these arrangements should be fair and reasonable, comfortable for both patient and the therapist. Any sudden or dramatic prescription in arrangement will be detrimental to the therapeutic process of it is not worth to throw. Although less tangible,
than the boundaries of place. Time is constitute the most important concrete aspect of a therapy is the time boundaries, although less tangible than the boundaries of place. Time constitutes the most important concrete aspect of a therapy. Time boundaries are often violated and transition are always significant. Holiday interruption given opportunity to work through early childhood feeling or abandonment. Late coming, even if it functionally, or leaving earlier, or leaving the room during session or a few minutes. And for my behavior, expressing something significant about the patient and his relation to the therapist and a therapeutic situation. According to Boulder, Colorado, our energetic boundaries paint the difference between experiencing an enjoyable, prosperous, and loving life or suffering through a sad, limited, and unhappy existing. They separate what we need from what we don't selectively, letting into our life only those energies, people, guidance through situation, opportunity, and healing that bring our spiritual essence further into our real life. They have also go further, step further, and purposefully seek out and draw everything we need to achieve our hope and dreams. Our energetic boundaries border our spiritual self and promote ours. Through nature, which is one of the reasons I often call them spiritual boundaries. We long to experience the identity and establish the correct energetic boundaries will help us to do just that. We create and manage correctly. They make sure that our real self, not the ideas. Energetic boundaries share information with our world, telling everyone exactly who we are, what we want, and how they can treat us. Maybe you don't even know you.
Mental boundaries of self-online. So what is mental boundaries? Mental boundaries refers to your personal thought process. Always saying eye to eye with another person is not possible. Everyone has different experience, but you have the right to your own thoughts, values, beliefs, and opinions. It is important to receive respect with it comes to mental boundaries. So, for example, you're a blogger and you need to keep your eye through the camera to show your message from viewers. In that case, the viewers will understand and visualize your thoughts. If expressing yourself is met with aggression, invalidation, or belittling, then it might be worth disengaging. It is not impossible to have conversations with people who do not agree with your every thought, but both participants need to be willing to listen and speak in a non-judgmental and respectful way. So, I will give an example about my thoughts. So, in politics, there are running for presidential in 2022. So, the candidates are Bongbong Marcos, Leni Robredo, Manny Pacquiao, Isko Moreno, P. Lacson, and Bato de la Rosa. So, some candidates are willing to pulverize the other candidates to keep their place on the top. So, for example, Bongbong Marcos was pulverizing about his past, and he kept his mouth shut for those dogs who keep barking on him. So, I will give an scenario about this two person about who is their president for 2022. So, Elson is a voter for Bongbong Marcos, while Philip is a voter for Leni Robredo. And they are arguing who is better, who is not. They are arguing of their chosen president. So, Philip is a Leni, and what I said is, Philip is Leni, solid Leni. So, Philip keep throwing bad information or fake information to Elson's president. So, Elson is keep his mouth shut, and he just give small details about his president, but suddenly Philip is not agree of his thoughts or his information about Bongbong Marcos. So Elson is disengaged to Philip to end their conversations with no hate and no judgmental, and to give respectful way. So that is mental boundaries.
Good day, everyone. My topic is physical boundaries. Physical boundaries includes your physical space or needs which you create a limitation to whom are being allowed, about how or when you are being touched, or to someone who you are comfortable to touch with. The importance of physical boundaries is it helps to define individual by outlining likes and dislikes and setting distance that once allows being approached. We all know boundaries are crucial in our life, or to be a healthy life that only yourself or ourself can determine. Setting and encourage physical boundaries can achieve expertise. Physical boundaries also contains needs of an individual for space or privacy and a barrier within the two, like breach or of standing too close to one another, being uncomfortable to touch with someone, and keeping out or avoid people to look in your phone. For example, most people don't want to be touched, and we should respect that because they have rights and they have physical needs that a human needs to rest, eat, or drink. And like me, I'm not comfortable if I'm using my phone, then someone's looking or reading any messages. Like example, you are chatting or messaging your loved ones, then someone or a person besides you are looking or and reading your messages, you kind of feel like bothered, and you want some privacy, and you don't want him or her to read or to look to your phone. And I have another example of physical boundaries. And as a human being, we have likes and dislikes. And in our friends, for example, uh, we have some hangouts or having movie marathon, but you just got allowed three-person to go into your house, or you just got invited your friends that you feel comfortable with, and you feel happy with them. Like example, you have a friend that you dislikes, and you also have a friend that you likes, and the person that you invite is the friends that you like, because you feel comfortable with them and happy with them. Unlike the dislike friends, you don't you are not comfortable with them, and you are not happy hanging out with them.
Hello sir, hello fellow classmates. So my topic today is the importance of creating boundaries online in the digital age. Sorry for my messy background. So, it's not a secret, we know that the internet can have myriad negative effects on our lives, between the damage it can do to one's mental health and its erosion of our capacity for face-to-face communication. Our timeline Our time online is quickly making our generation impatient, antisocial, and unhealthy. It can also be addictive, but we can't avoid it. Being online is absolutely necessary for living, working, and communicating with others. Conversation about boundaries on the internet range from ludicrous and antithetical. We are drawn to living out part of our lives online because it seems like a limitless space where our minds exist and our bodies do not, where our voices can be heard far and wide as we physically remain in one place. While on the one hand, this can be wonderful, it's harder for us to create the necessary boundaries that make using the internet safe, fulfilling, and healthy. It's important to develop boundaries with people online so that we feel our physical and mental well-being are protected. So licensed mental health counselor Jennifer Sadler tells Allure, also the way we act online is often how we teach others how to treat us offline. If we don't establish those initial boundaries that give us a chance to demonstrate what we find to be appropriate and acceptable on our end, we can end up with what feels like an open invitation with people who we don't know very well. So through a few intentional changes in communication, it is possible to create practices that make using the internet feel safer and healthier. Why are boundaries? So first, why are boundaries online necessary? It's important to create limits in regards to who we follow, what sort of content we consume, and how much time we spend on the internet. First and foremost, they are necessary for our safety, as dangers like hacking and catfishing loom. It's imperative to set up barriers to protect our personal data and identity from strangers online, such as increasing our privacy setting or limiting the amount of personal information available on the internet. So aside from the safety boundaries are necessary for maintaining good mental health, research has indicated that spending too much time on the internet can be linked to heightened anxiety, and the excessive social media usage could be linked with depression. A look into the science behind the manufacturing of our technology provides some insight into why this might be. Research has found that blue light on our cell phones and computers can stimulate our brain to create more dopamine, a chemical that is associated with motivation and feelings of happiness. This means that checking our phones more often or spending more time online makes us feel happier, while taking time away from technology can cause withdrawal symptoms and actually make us depressed. What's more, the notification we receive on our home screen from apps like Twitter or Instagram can cause us stress or distract us until we check them. Many have already recognized the ways that excessive internet, the social media usage can be unhealthy and are taking steps to combat this issue in their own way. A 2018 Pew Research Center survey found that 42% of Facebook users they polled had taken a break from the site in the last year, and more than a quarter of those surveyed had deleted the app from their phones. So, second, how can we create boundaries online? First, we have to decide what sort of boundaries we are willing and able to create. This process is different for everyone. When approaching social media from this platform, do I want to make friends, make professional connections, or find entertaining content? This question can help you decide what sort of boundaries you need to create and later how you can create them. The most common boundaries people are looking to create is a limit to how much of our personal information other people can access. Unsurprisingly, the best way to create these sorts of barriers would be through increasing your privacy setting, keeping your Twitter and Instagram on private, changing your Facebook privacy setting to ensure strangers cannot contact you, and creating separate emails or social media accounts for work versus your social life are all good ways to create these barriers. But privacy settings can help privacy settings can help create the emotional boundaries many people find are necessary, like the need we all feel to respond to messages right away or to check a notification as soon as it appears on our screens. Many experts say that removing push notification from your home screen or deleting social media from your phone for certain periods of time can not only lessen feelings of dependency when it comes to the internet, but can also improve sleep, reduce anxiety, and help people reprioritize in-person interactions. People often talk me about a sense of obligation that they feel online, explains Sadler often. Understandability, we feel like because we're putting ourselves out there to a degree. We're obligated to accept a friend request on Facebook or returning a message to someone that is a stranger to us. It's important to establish the degree to which we are willing to participate in that early in our interaction online. Of course, creating these sorts of boundaries can be more difficult for some than for others. Many people use social media not just for fun, but for their job, and when your income relies on your ability to brand and commodify yourself online, separating your real life from the one that plays out online becomes a lot more difficult. So, third, why are people different online? We subconsciously impose these boundaries on ourselves and on each other using these criteria to determine who we follow, that content we like and retweet, and how we construct our online selves. Extensive research demonstrates the way that people's real-life personalities often differ from their online personas. According to a 2015 article by The Guardian, because people have the luxury of being completely satisfied with something before they press send on a photo or witty tweet, people are often more emboldened on the internet, feeling protected by the barrier of a screen. People often put the fantasy version of themselves online, the one they want to be or the one they want to sell. Jacqueline Donnell, a licensed medical health counselor, tells Allure, on the internet, we are who we want others to think we are. To combat feelings of confusion or frustration around their online identity, many people turn to Fanstas or other forms of private social media that are less curated and more tailored for close friends. The save, drop, and archive functions on Twitter and Instagram respectively also allow users to express themselves online without the pressure of curation for the public eye, so forth. How can we use the internet safely while keeping our sense of self? The internet is as overwhelming as it is unavoidable, which is why creating boundaries is so necessary. It's also important to practice self-care while online, which can be done in a number of ways. I personally practice self-care by intentionally following accounts that bring me joy rather than stress me out. I love Lala Lopez on Instagram and Dr. Tima on Twitter. Limiting your time online as well as checking push notification less often or not allowing notification to show up on your home screen can also make social media less stressful, according to a study published earlier this year in the journal Computers and Human Behavior. Licensed clinical social worker and CEO of Refresh Psychotherapy, Kelly Temsa, emphasized the importance of limiting our time online. Have personal time blocked out to check your personal social media. She suggested we should all be able to pick and choose the times we can respond to those emails or DMs or answers those phone calls. As important as it is to have boundaries of our safety, we also want to have a mental boundary. It's those mental boundaries that are the hardest to establish. It may be easy enough to set up privacy setting or limit your time scrolling on social media to an hour a day, but it's a lot more difficult to stop stressing out about notification from Twitter or whether your crush saw your latest Instagram story. To establish these mental boundaries, we must be a lot more intentional with the way we approach the internet and remember that it's the impractical to judge others or ourselves by the mask we put on while online. I just wish people would be kinder online, says Lewis. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to maintain this massive online personas as we don't have 500 things happening in our lives that the internet doesn't need to know about. I would like to see more kindness and more boundaries and more respect of boundaries. If someone doesn't follow you back or doesn't DM you back immediately or doesn't like all of your tweets, that's okay. We are all just people. That's all. Thank you.